We have three presentations today, and we are going to take about 1 hour and 15 minutes. We have a couple of panelists today on the stage, and again, it's an honor to have our Nunavut delegation here today. And again, hello to everyone who's watching live or listening on CKLB. Really low? Okay, the mic is fixed now. So again, welcome to the Nunavut Showcase. It is an honor to have our Nunavut delegation here today. And hello to everyone who's watching live or listening on CKLB. My name is Nina Larson. I'm the Senior Advisor, Early Childhood Development. I work with the Department of Health and Social Services with the Aboriginal Health and Community Wellness Division. I'm Gwich'in. My family is from the Beaufort Delta. So everyone, hello to everyone from the Beaufort Delta who's watching. We have three presentations today that will take around 1 hour and 15 minutes. And I'm just going to list the names of our presenters. First, we have Elisapi from the Iqaluit Tukisikiyavik Society. She will be joined as well with Nash Sagyatuk, who is a counselor. Second presentation will be with Bernadette Dean, Social Development Coordinator for Kivalik Inuit Association. And our third presentation is on the Nunavut Youth Leap. We have Maxine Carroll, Elder Moshe Akavak, and his nephew and interpreter, Jimmy Akavak. Going first, we have Elisapi, who was born in camp and moved to Iqaluit as a young girl. She attended the Federal Day School shortly after arriving to Iqaluit. She has been involved in several initiatives throughout her adult life. She's a graduate of the Fur Production and Design at the Arctic College and is the program coordinator at the Tukisiavik and has been running land program for the past 20 years. Welcome.
Nakalmik, tusaksa. Hello Inuit, TV kutek watau tutu ino hatibut tamanga Yellowknife mik tamani tuapi wata tunga sutitau lutalo kuviana. Thank you very much for inviting us. It is an honor to be here, honor to be in Nunatsiaq. Before the division of Nunavut, we were part of NWT, which is called Nunatsiaq. Nunatsiaq meaning beautiful land. So you still live in Nunatsiaq, the beautiful land. Where that name came from is my good friend, I believe, Anne Mickett Johansson, who is also mother-in-law of Jimmy at the end here, named it at that time. I think she was asked, what it could be called, and she said Nunatsiaq because it was a beautiful land. So thank you very much for welcoming us here. My name is Elisapi David Annomir, and I'm going to show you some pictures of the land program that we run. These are just some of the pictures of some of you that have visited Tukisigialvik. You know that we have wall-to-wall pictures, and unfortunately, some of those pictures were lost for, I don't know if it's forever, because our computers got stolen, and we have a lot of pictures in that. And then what we have is those floppy disks, which are a century old, I guess, for some, at the rate of new technology and stuff. Anyways, about 40 years ago when we first started, we would always go by, and we still go by boats and stuff, but we would always have to take our tents, beddings, blankets, everything that we needed to be out on the land, and we would go to several different places. But today, we have some shelters. Sometimes we still use tents and stuff if we have to, depending on participants that we have to the program. And of course, as it was said, weather permitting, we start our programs middle of July when the ice breaks up to the area that we're at, which is about 15-minute boat ride from the city of Iqaluit. which is in this area called Iluluaktuit. This is also a traditional campsite by people. So we have like huts, rock formations and stuff like that there. If you walk around, that we can see. I don't know if I'm doing this right. Okay. Some of these young people that we have there joined programs when we first started running them, and now they're young adults with their own children. So some of our young people have been with us for some time, and some of them are now young parents. So, and also teaching the skills, passing on the skills to the younger generation that come out with us. So it's, you know, it's always so good to see stuff like that, where cultural skills are being passed on by our young people, young adults. Our main meals, of course, mostly come from the land. The meat all caught there, you know, we eat it. We have, you know, other things that we get from the city that we bring out there, but mostly all our main meals are what is caught there. Some of our young people just having fun, just being themselves. And I think for young people to be in an environment like this, it's friendship bonding, confidence building, and supporting each other. So sometimes the young people will not know each other, but by the end that they go home, that they know. What we do is we can have different participants every week. They can stay longer depending on space. If there's space for them to be in the shelters, then we can always keep them longer. But like I said, you know, when friendship builds on with young people, and that it's part of healthy living. It becomes part of healthy living, and also having more extended friends when you go back. And it's so important for the young children to be experiencing land programs at a young age. So as they get older, they will have the desire to be out on the land. Because I see a difference between those that have been going out on the land and those that haven't. Those that have been going out have the desire, and it's in their heart to go out because they know what's out there, and they know that it's a really healthy, fun place to be. And especially, you know, you're seeing different animals, you're seeing nature, and just being out there, just being yourself. For kids, just being kids, able to play very safely just around our areas and stuff, our camp area. There's a lot of learning when you're out there, being in the boat, what it takes to be in a boat, not to move around too much, removing the sand from your boots and stuff, and looking at different weather patterns and stuff like that. Of course, in Iqaluit, we have a very big low tide and high tide, and this is at one of the high tides. So a lot of times we'll see a lot of people going out clam digging, and also for other things out on the land. We connect with other hunters, other boaters who are out hunting. And so this is a time for harvesting, collecting food, clam digging, and stuff like that, or whatever you will find in the waters. It's always exciting to share food as well. This is, Iqaluit actually has the third biggest low tide in Canada. Sometimes 0.0. So it's a very, very low tide, and this is the time that you can go for the clams and other seafood that you can get from the low tide, and collecting seaweed and stuff like that too. This is again connecting with other hunters. This particular one, there's a whale that was caught, so there are families sharing food, sharing the catch and stuff like that. And sometimes when there's a whale, you'll see over 20 boats going after that one whale, or it depends. Sometimes there's more, but if you're lucky, you'll get some of that catch. But still, it's still shared as much as possible. We also have organized healing and grieving workshops out on the land, which also involves some cultural skill development. We always make sure that we have something cultural, even if we're running semi-formal workshops. And then these ladies have seal skins, and these are traditionally dried seal skins. So what these ladies will have to do is soften them themselves, stomp on them, stretch them, and then cut them out to pattern and stuff. Here, one of the cultural instructors is just tying up that seal skin into like a ball so that they can stomp on it. And here they're stomping on the seal skins on rocks. Stomping on them on rocks makes it very, softens the skin quite faster than just if it was like on a floor, on wood. Again, the instructor with one of the participants they're showing. And cooking. As much as possible, we try and cook outdoors, weather permitting. Again, if it's not raining, we gather lichen from around the area, different parts of the area, to make the fires and stuff for cooking. Sometimes this is not working. Those are some of the seal skins. After they have been stomped on, they wash them and then hang them out to dry before they can cut them out to make whatever they want. And deep fried bannock on a Coleman stove outside, or maybe it might be fire, I'm not sure. And these are some of the skins that are being stretched and soft. The whiter part, the water shade, is that part that is now beginning to be soft, to be cut out to pattern, and the darker side is what still needs to be stretched. We always have cultural instructors when we're out there facilitating the healing and grieving workshops, be it for young women, and we've also done elder abuse prevention workshops out on the land, which was also very popular with the women that we took out there. And of course, at the end, we always make sure that we have something to have fun and do games and celebration of the week that we had. In this particular picture, there was just us women, and all the men were out hunting. But just not too about the first house over here, about that far, there was a polar bear coming into our camp. And there's just us women and children. So the lady in the blue, our cell phones work at the location that we're at because the satellites are very good. And they're good in our camp, but they're not good in the city in one area because of this hill. So they work in our camp, but right in the city, they don't work in some areas. So we are blessed. So she's calling. She was calling the wildlife office and just letting them know that there was a polar bear in that area. But good thing that we had a rifle there, and she shot, and it went off right away because I guess it was not hungry. Otherwise, it would have been quite scary for us. But to have an encounter with a polar bear, it's not pretty. It's quite scary. Oh, question 9. Oh, these are different types of food that we have there: clams, some berries, some caribou, and fish. And they're harvested from all around that area where we're at. That area is really good for fishing as well, with nets and stuff, depending on the weather. Again, we can go boating to different areas. And just a healthy environment to be for young children. just experiencing and just being themselves. And this is one of the workshops with the children there and some of the mothers. Some more fish. Whoops. Something happened. Okay, and these kids and some of the supervisors are coming back from one of a waterfall that we have, and nature walks and stuff like that are always on the go. And sometimes, as it was mentioned earlier, we would have young people come out there. Second day that they're there, they wash their hair, clean themselves and everything. Fourth day, they don't care. So it's just, you know, they learn quite quick. This cabin is about 80% recycled wood and the siding. And this pond here is very popular with the children because it's not deep, it's not too deep, but it's a fun area for the children to be playing in water. As we know, children love being in the water. And they make little wooden boats and stuff like that they can with. And mosquitoes, of course, are around. So, and we have big mosquitoes, I think, compared to some areas. They don't stick around very long, but when they do, they're really there, and so you really have to be protected. So these are some of the clams that were collected, and good-sized clams and healthy clams from that area. And when we do the boating and stuff like that, we always make sure that if there's enough food for the people to take back to their homes and community, or to people in need, that they take it back to the communities. So these are some of the scenes, and this is. We go out there when it's still 24-hour daylight, but by the time we go back home, it's starting to get dark. So this is one of the sunsets, just from around where we're at. When we have the healing workshops for women, and they have children, we have somebody supervising the children and with children activities and stuff like that. And the healing workshops are very good, and like I think I said, they're facilitated by local people, all by Inuit, delivered in our own language, which is important to the people that are there, because a lot of times if you're talking from the core of who you are, it's important to speak in a language that you're most comfortable in. Although we mix English and Inuktitut for some of the words sometimes, but mainly it's always in Inuktitut by the participants and also the facilitators. Cultural skills are part of the activities that we run, and sometimes we can get water from the ice too, that before they melt from around that area. This is just like after breakup, just before the ice goes. We have both winter and spring activities where we can take people out fishing on the land. This one is just in the outskirts of Iqaluit. People fishing for char and codfish, for codfish, which is also very good. One of the best tasting tea is over campfire burning with lichen from the land. And it's smoked tea that we all favor. And this is the lichen that makes the fire for cooking. And we mix this with wood, because this can burn quite fast if it's quite dry. Being outdoors on a calm day, fishing, we have a lot of fond memories of when it's nice weather. We take the opportunity of just going out on the boat and go rod fishing and stuff like that, or looking for mammals and stuff. There's always stories to be told, which is always a lot of fun to be sharing stories from the people that we have with us. And cultural skills are transferred to those that didn't have the opportunity while they were younger to learn the skills. And this lady is cleaning a seal skin, taking off the blubber and the fuchsia from the seal skin, and after that process, then it's hung out to dry. When I was putting the pictures together, it had a nice flow to it and everything, but I closed it, opened it again, pictures were everywhere. So this is one of the preparations before we left and to the site, and this is in our campsite, delivering people and some supplies. We always share our meals together, which is very important to share. We share at least 1 or 2 meals a day together, and breakfast, we say it's up to you, prepare it yourself and stuff. And everybody has, everybody is encouraged to clean up. So when we leave the camp, we make sure that we pick up all the garbage down to cigarette butts before we go back home. So everybody has some responsibility to keep that campsite clean. And the young people learn to take take fish off the nets, rather, which is a good thing to see. Workshop or in the cabins. Some of it may take place outside, but mostly inside when there's healing and grieving. I don't know if you can really see the Inukshuk there in front, but everyone in this picture had the opportunity to put down a rock for this Inukshuk. And the young children there showing their projects that they did. So another meal together with some visitors and participants to the program. We make sure that everybody has something to do all the time if there's help that is needed, and put the young people to work and just have fun too at the same time, just to be kids. Yeah, another boating scene. Nice weather there. Nice. Looking out for seals and stuff like that all the time, when it's calm like this. Sea pigeons? Pichiulan. Pichiulan iko sea pigeons. Kisuil. Hi? Mer? Oh, Arctic mer. Yeah, kids just being them again and getting confident, building confidence and identifying, knowing who you are is something that is so good to introduce to young children and young adults. We learn by watching, and we are very visual society, Inuit, so we learn a lot by watching. Here, mother and daughter are cleaning ring seal intestines to be either cooked or dried. 2 minutes? Okay. I'm going to turn it over to Nash so that he can talk about some of the programs that they run. And so I thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. Sometimes we don't always have plenty of food to catch, but in this particular picture, these young men were blessed to bless others, and you can see the pride in them and the joy here. So, nakongmik, tay ko tau tukai nak tu man na lam tu ni ako.
Oh, Elizabeth gave me a good news that I only got 3 minutes to speak. My My name is Nas Sagiatok, and I was born in Iqaluit and raised in Iqaluit. I work for Tukisigapi Center for 13 years now, almost 14. I'm a counselor in that place. The man with the hunter guide for my work goes out and land by skidio or by boat. And the pictures you see here is close to Kimirot, which is about how many miles from Kimirot? 6? 30. 30 miles from Kimirot. And we were coming from Iqaluit, and we were going to pass Kimirot to go ice fishing. And this picture you see here is overnight cabin we slept in. I don't know which one to press for the next page. Oh, there it is. Okay. And these are the people who are on their way to their trip, fishing trip. We got a hunter guide at work, and sometimes we have to ask hunter guide, to take us out at the times when there's not enough staff or there's more clients to come along. So there they are. And these pictures, this was my very first time I see heat coming out of the earth in winter. So I took that picture for that to show what I saw first time. There's a heat coming out of the earth that when you look inside the hole, you see the green grass in built up with the winter. And a little bit of water in that hole. There's the hole we looked in that. There were more than one of that heat that's coming out of the earth. There's another one. And we go out ice fishing. This is the man who's fishing for the fish too. You're going to see him more often because he didn't want to get out of that fishing hole, so he's the only one who's going to have pictures with the fish. And the fishing trip was a 4-day trip, and it was overnight from the Iqaluit to get to that lake. And there he is again with what he caught with the hook. There's some willow trees that's near the Kimirot. And this is the outpost camp near Kimirot area. I used to live in that camp with my uncles. And these are the people who were on the trip. And back home, back to Iqaluit. And so what we caught on that trip. And at work, we teach young people how to build a kamotik. Not just a man. There's you see a young woman there is learning how to make kamotik. And there it is. There's one that is complete. And they also teach how to make a kurlak, which is a lamp they used to use in igloo to heat up the place or cook There's the man there again making kudluk. There's the complete kudluk. That's it. And other than work, myself, I volunteered to do a men's group healing. We try to meet twice a month in the evenings. There are five of us in that group, a men's group. Just me, Jimmy, Lucasy. Yeah, I think I'm okay. Daima. I'm not that, so I'm sorry I don't have too much time to explain what I want to. You will get to see me in April 6th. There's a short short film that will be aired on CBC on April 6th. That was taken by filmmakers from America, US. And that will be aired on the 6th of April. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have some time at the end for some questions if you want to expand on some of your projects and share that with everyone. Our next presenter is Bernadette Dean. She's the Social Development Coordinator for Kivalliq Inuit Association. Bernadette grew up in Coral Harbor on Southampton Island. She attended the Akecho Hall in Yellowknife for high school. She has 3 children and 8 grandchildren, speaks Inuktitut and English, and has worked very closely with elders and youth in the last 20 years and more. Keeping Inuit culture, language, and traditional knowledge alive is an honor, and she considers it a sacred responsibility. Welcome to the stage.
Ugwapunga ugwa kalunau yang nakama sivulami innai katimati taugaartillugi tiliyaulor simagama innarnu katimmatittiquyaulunga kinau yaqangikkaluartillugu. It's an honor to be here and thank you. When I was hired in 1997, I was ordered by our president, Inuit KIA president, to gather the elders together to have a meeting, and was also told that we have no money for it. So that's how I started. In the Kivalliq, which is one of the regions of Nunavut, we have 7 communities, and the Kivalliq mostly is on the west coast of Hudson's Bay. I think the Cree is close to Hudson's Bay. So we're on the west coast, and we serve 7 communities in our region. The 2 camps we started, I'm going to talk a little bit about them. They're both based on the land, and depending on how much funding we receive, we deliver them. And also depending on funding, we take 8 or 10 or 12 days. How do I work this? Where do I push or direct this? Oh, so in 1997, when we met with the elders, there was 15 elders. 3 of them were emerging elders, and there's only 3 left alive today. One of the elders commented, this is a rough translation, some of the things that I find most urgent and pressing, these trees are in my way, is the need to teach our younger generation how to hunt, to teach them about land skills, and to make warm clothing. They need to get to know the land and be able to provide shelter. If you learn these things, you would be able to protect yourself. For the young girls, as long as you can learn to make traditional clothing and learn to make kamit, learn to sew, and learn to tan and prepare skins. These we can teach our young people today. We can make these a reality today. We elders know how to hunt and prepare skins, and this is most pressing, passing on knowledge about hunting and surviving the environment. That was late Monica Sivak Agjuk. All the elders stress the importance of teaching traditional knowledge and skills, and all the young people at that time really wanted to learn they really wanted to learn cultural skills, because teaching them inside a school was not working. One of the principle behind all of this is what Roy said earlier today, is you can give a man a fish and feed him for a day, or you can teach him how to fish and feed him for a lifetime. We come from a very proud, independent culture and peoples. So proud that my father and my mother left Coral Harbor to move to Rankin Inlet, where there was more opportunities for employment after the seal hunt and the fox market crashed, because they didn't want to sit around and collect welfare. That's the kind of proud people, proud independent people we come from. And Piyunnaksinik Culture Camp, I'm going to mention Roy Fabian, because he came to our region and he gave a workshop on cultural victimization workshop with elders and youth. And one of the elders that was at that workshop became very active and spent the rest of his life working on preserving our culture and heritage. And he gave the name Piyunnaksinik. His name was late Mariano Aupilatuk. It's a culture camp for youth, Inuit youth, and we also we started Somebody's Daughter in 2003. It was a program for women, Inuit women, survivors of residential schools, and those impacted by residential schools. As you all know, we never learned traditional skills being in residential schools, so we did a winter camp for young men as well, but they're all proposal-based funded. Both of the camps, there's an opportunity to learn about harvesting caribou and how to cut the caribou properly, its caribou skin properly, so that you can make the most use out of the caribou skin and the caribou meat. On the left side, or on the right side picture is from Somebody's Daughter, and on the left picture is young men learning how to cut up caribou skin properly at Piyunnaksinik. Pilsuanik, we learned the importance of conservation and utilizing all parts of the harvest. every piece of meat, and the skin is cut properly so that you don't waste anything. And these are just examples of how we use caribou skins. The lady holding up, she's at somebody's daughter camp. When you cut up caribou legs properly, you can turn them into legs of kamik boots. This is the elder Roy. Fabian, he took a workshop with Roy Fabian before, and he gave the name Piyunnaksinik. And one of the things I asked him, what if you had a chance to teach young people, what would you want to teach? And he said he would want to teach how to make a avatak, which is a buoy out of sealskin. So at our first camp, he taught how to make a buoy out of a sealskin. Teamwork is required in all the traditional skills. There's no women's jobs or there's no men's job. It requires teamwork on a lot of the traditional skills. And I can't see this far and these trees are in the way. But like Elisapi said, we learn a lot by watching and doing and listening. And here, one of the elders is demonstrating how to cut the seal so that you could turn it into an abatak. And first it's the men do their part, and then the women take over and clean off the fat. And then that's the result. Elder Aupilatuk said that little avatak can tire out a whole giant bullhead whale instead of those red bobby things you see in the water. One of the youth that participated in the program 2 years ago made a avatak with his wife. It made me feel so proud that he learned something in camp, and he did it on his own at home. You could see it on Facebook, but I don't have access. We also learned to make aklunak out of bearded sealskin. It's another teamwork effort where men and women participate in making rope. And we also learn, both camps, we teach how to clean sealskins and how to harvest them to make for clothing or boots, kamik. Both camps are most popular. They want to learn how to make kamik. We do it the old way, traditional way, environmentally friendly. You use your whole body and your teeth, like she said, stomping and salt water. And so it's A to Z, from A to Z, kamik making, and all the women and young girls are always so proud and so happy when they complete their first kamik. One of the things, the needle, when you're sewing the kamik, especially the bottom part, the needle makes 3 moves and you never see the thread or sinew. I always tell the young girls now, I say, our ancestors, whoever came up with that stitch that makes 3 moves, thought like an engineer. I said, our ancestors were engineers. Look, they did this stitch and you can't see the thread. So we come from a long line of engineers. We also taught in the early years how to make drums, and that elder, we still have the tools to make the drums. Again, it's teamwork, and it takes everybody to make a drum. They wanted to demonstrate how to make drum out of caribou skin. It takes about 3 days to keep the skin in the water so that you could remove the hair. We learn how not to waste anything. This is not a very good picture. How to conserve and preserve everything we catch out on the land, we make into use. And one of the prerequisites, I guess the elder said, they want a location where there is good water and a good place for hunting or fishing. So, and the elders select those places, usually about an hour boat ride away from the nearest community. The boys, if they're not hunting and if we have plenty of food to eat, the boys learn how to make tools, ulus, and harpoon heads or harpoons. We learn many things. We have elder facilitated workshops on grief and loss. I think all of us know someone who has committed suicide, and anyway, we talk about, the elders lead the grief and loss workshops, and the elders also lead the suicide prevention. The traditional values these are just some of the values that the youth learn. How to get along well with others and to serve our communities. No wastage of harvest and the environment. How to be prepared at all times to act. It's very hard to describe being upalogon. Some say you learn it at early childhood through conditioning by your parents to be ready to act in case of emergency. Sila'y sumatangmat, sila'y sumasok. The weather is the boss, the environment, the land, the sea, the sky, whatever is the boss. And isumasok tutumat, only sila is the one with total and absolute freedom. So they learn patience and respect for the environment, for the weather. Like yesterday, the weather was the boss, so and I can't read that part. How to work well with others. We learn all that out on the land because there's no television, no iPads, no cell phones out there, and you get to focus on yourself. One of the testimonials from a past participant, I'm going to go read it. I can't see it this far. Is comic making gave me a sense of pride and purpose in a world where our cultural practices and language is rapidly declining. During the process of comic making, I often felt like crying because I felt pride that I never felt before. I felt as if my ancestors were with me, guiding me, and that I was part of assisting in revitalizing practices of our culture that was being lost. These new skills that I acquired from my instructors and elders are the same skills I will be able to pass on to my son, future children and future generations. Comic making and sewing helps me deal with my mental issues from traumatic experiences, language loss, and help me to build coping skills. It is my way of healing and helped me get to where I am today. That's a female participant, age 23, and I think comic making is the best management leadership skill you can take. So, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Our next presenters, first we'll start with Maxine. She lives in Iqaluit and is the LEAP co-founder, program instructor, and coordinator. She has worked with youth in Iqaluit for over 10 years, in town and on the land. She currently is a student counselor at Nunavut Arctic College. She will be joined shortly after by Elder Moshe. Moshe lives in Iqaluit as well as an elder, instructor on the land, living counselor in all Baffin Island communities. He is a member of the trauma response team, and Moshe's nephew, his interpreter, is born out of Kimuvut. He is a retired RCMP after 28 years of service. He now works for a shipping company for the last 5 years, and he's also involved with men's support group, search and rescue, suicide prevention, mentoring youth on how to travel and hunt on the land and on the sea. Welcome.
Several water bottles stocked under here. Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Maxine Iqalumutauyunga. I live in Iqaluit, but that's not originally where I'm from. And I'm not Scandinavian. I get that a lot. And funnily enough, like the only place that I'm not asked where I'm from was in Iceland, where I was last year. And straight off the plane, I was asked for directions. But I have no Icelandic blood. I checked. I'm originally from Quebec. My father's family immigrated to Quebec after the Second World War, and my mom's French-Canadian. I grew up in a bilingual, multicultural family, and growing up I was really close to my Inuit relatives through marriage from Inukjuak in Nunavik, and when they lived closely in Montreal. So that's kind of the very short story of how I ended up in Inuit Nunangat, in Inuit territory in 2004. However, not in Nunavik, but in Nunavut. So I'm here with Moshe Akavak to tell you a little bit about LEAP and with Jimmy and some of the programs that we've offered and what we're currently working on. I'm really grateful to my current employer, NAC, the Nunavut Arctic College, for letting me come all the way here on my work time to be able to talk about some of the community programs that I've been involved in. LEAP is an Iqaluit-based nonprofit that provides land-based educational adventure programs, primarily to youth and young adults in our territory. And our mission is to create a safe and exciting space in town and on the land for participants to take on new challenges, to build on their strengths and leadership, and to learn about themselves. And since 2005, over 1,700 youth have taken part in our program. Mostly Inuit, mostly youth from Iqaluit, although we do have programs in other communities or with youth from other communities who come to Iqaluit. And our programs include outdoor land skills, team building and personal growth activities, long-distance cross-country ski trips, cultural workshops, and some specialized leadership programs. And we work in partnership with community members, organizations, and schools to offer high-quality adventure education programs. So what am I referring to when I'm talking about adventure? Adventure education, we're looking to engage participants in activities that are not familiar to them, that involve a certain adaptation on their part, a certain amount of risk, or we work with perceived risk and getting youth or other participants to step out of their comfort zone, to stretch into their growth zone. We work in a small group context. Often our programs have 6 to 8 participants where the group members have a common goal that they're working together to achieve. And we focus as much as possible on hands-on learning. We work with voluntary participants. They choose to be part of our programs. And as much as possible, we let them learn from natural consequences, or from nature and from natural consequences of their actions, or sometimes their inactions. So for example, when we're out on the land, and we might remind a few times, don't forget to take your liner out of your boot, because it might freeze overnight. Well, if it's safe, we might just stop mentioning it and let them learn the next day as they thaw out their boot with their own body heat. So I'm going to boil a long story into a short one, but LEAP is a work in progress. Luckily, we're really small, so our small organization can evolve as the humans who are involved evolve. When I started running programs with LEAP, I was 21 years old. That was 12 years ago. So my understanding of place, of community priorities, of self-identified needs, of cultural protocol, and of my place as a Qalunak, as a non-Indigenous person working and living in an Indigenous community has definitely brought me to learn and grow as a person. So in turn, so has the work that we've been doing. In 2005, when we started the work that led to LEAP, the main tool for going out on the land were skis. And so our programs were centered over half-day trips, day trips, some overnight trips. We worked with schools, would run programs for a couple months in the springtime, and then also doing evening trips. That's our sunset ski excursion on the bay, well, on the inlet in front of town. This here is our Ski Qaluit to Kimirut trip that we did in 2008. We also did one in 2007. We had youth from 2 communities from Iqaluit and Kimirut, which is 160 kilometers away, to ski from the 2 communities. And these were a Ski-Doo supported team by Moshe, who's here today, by his wife Pitsula and their son Jonah. And the youth were age ranged 13 to 21. And during the trip, Moshe taught igloo building, and the youth had the opportunity to learn how to participate and build an igloo and to sleep in one as well. In 2009, in response to some program successes and some challenges as well, we designed a program called Challenge by Choice, where we work with a group of youth for a period of 4 to 8 weeks, depending on funding, because everything's proposal-based, and also availability, because we run several programs in the season. We work with youth to help them design, plan, and prep for their own overnight trip. So rather than taking part in trip that's all organized for them, the youth have ownership. They learn how to, they do trip planning, they'll menu plan, they'll go to the grocery store and budget, and they'll train doing group and trust exercises. And sometimes we do some funny stuff like this, like Sail Qamutik down to Apex, which is a small community just outside of Iqaluit. And just experiment and have a good time. So that kind of participant involvement, where we work with youth for several weeks at a time, is possible when we work with youth that all live in Iqaluit, but when we have our programs that are for youth from other communities, it's a bit more tricky. So, for example, a couple of years ago, we had our Suluk Ski Adventure Camp for Baffin youth, for youth from the Qiqtarluq region, and we had 7 youth come from different communities who pretty much learned how to ski the day before, and packed up their small pulk, a small sled, and went off on a 5-day adventure on the land. They were supposed to learn how to build igloos, but due to weather conditions and delay, that didn't end up happening. In an adventure setting, it's a bit more tricky. There are more maybe some different variables that impact what we can take time for. So definitely that is one of the limitations. There they are in a fan hitch style, pulling a train of sleds. And they completed about 35 kilometers in their 5-day expedition, which was quite an accomplishment for beginner skiers. And so here's a testimony from one of our participants from North Baffin. It was a good challenge to go on the land without any machines, plus having to pull your own pulk of snacks, 10 gear, for me, all the stove fuel. But I challenged myself even more on pulling an extra pulk when someone got tired. At the point when I reached soreness and fatigue and hauling sleds, that state of mind, beast mode, came and kept me wanting to push my limitations and reach a new campsite without giving up. When we finished the trip and looking back at it, it's a big accomplishment that I won, and it had shown me how much strength I have and the endurance we can go through. So that's one short piece of anecdotal feedback that I think illustrates how some participants can really tap into their potential on trips. They get a sense that there's more in them that they think, that they have the potential to overcome a lot of challenges that they may face with support. That can be a really powerful experience, a really grounding experience, and for some, a tipping point. And the last picture before I pass it on to Moshe and Jimmy, this is a new program that we've started this winter in Qiqtarluq, which is north of Iqaluit. And so we have an instructor who lives there who is working with the youth committee, and just the program is developing as the youth respond and identify what they want to get involved in. And the skiing excursion started at Christmas to kind of keep youth busy, and they really got into it. And now it's a weekly thing that is expanding into a full day trip, and they're looking at doing overnight trips mixed in with some cultural workshops as well. This coming weekend, actually, there's going to be full day trip and igloo building workshop as well with an elder in the community. So I'm short on time, so I'm going to pass it. I'll end here and pass the torch on to Moshe. And Moshe is no stranger to land programs. He's been involved with LEAP over the years, but outside of his work with LEAP, he's been involved for many, many years running land programs, working with inmates from the Baffin Correctional Center. Most recently, he just came back from the south where he was counseling inmates in who live in federal penitentiaries. So for me, it's definitely an honor to work with him. And he's going to talk to you about a program called Qiqtarluq, which is his baby that I'm very privileged to help him bring to life. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I don't know how much time I got left. Anyway, we'll try. Oh, good.
Yes, the same one.
Tana ilagi tu nong mago o khawse o takto maxin o khawse o takto ngata. Nei na tu nong nakta o khayalere nong taima tukisi chiballe na ko una khangera aperigo malaga khadlunat tu sigun nong maga. Hey.
No English. I just want to add on to what Maxine has said. It's really the same type of program, but I'll just talk about the Hayak Tuak, and that my nephew will interpret for me if he can.
Ay, kuya namin. Tan ako ni pang na padliari law yaw law sa makajalarin. Amma akchia si magahak ni pimman akaw ni abatisani ni pang na si mayutan na hanoy ding abadlian ng mini changanik kisya ni akaw makko pilriari law tabo maksin lutan na kayo si badlia si malakto taman.
It's like any other project or projects. This takes a long time for planning. The planning has been over almost 20 years, but the actual work has been just over 2 years.
Ay, taga tana ilagiliw ila ullo ni tamani hangak to ni tabani ukhalimaw ta kakataan awlak simat chinong mit awlak siman tamanna suliyorigattigu ilunata inusittinullu akawluk khutawlu ni pilimmasanneummat amma teikkuniga sibulitta ilekkusingani utertitsivallianermit tamanna tamaunga iligamman.
That in the last couple of days, presenters or groups have talked about how the importance of being on the land, going on the land or waters, is very important, and that it brings back the human level, the human being within us, and that it has brought our culture back over time. As you go more on the land, it brings you back to reality, I guess.
Tamanna uqawsqiniartavut khajalerin tamakwa khanu ipalliasimaningit titerarsimammata uqawsqijaangi taralwakka kisiani unali tahanat ajjigituinnermagu tamatuma nungupalli ila asiuvallias qattaqsimaneriangata inuusittinnit tusaqainnaраtta tamanna taakkuanuna miunguhatevu uqawsi iliniatitsiutingi tamakkua atullarimmata taanna tamanna tabunga ilagiliutitsialanga yuviniumma khajalerineq tukusikkannigalarniarpapun.
It's like anything else. In Nunavut, we're facing the same situations as Western Arctic or Western region here. We're trying to take back what has been taken from us by going to school or university or jobs or moving to bigger camps. This project on the Hayak is trying to bring back the Inuit used to make and make the Hayaks over the years, and that he's not going to go. I'm not going to go over every word for word, and that we'll just explain what this project is.
Ay, taanna khanu atakhareha simammat atamakwa khanu awlani atinga taanna Hayaktuarmit iliniartitausimamma taanna khangiarataatsimua Hayaktuarmit agga nammini uqawseraunnermat innammarimmun kayungutsartausimammat asivahatua asivatsiarat tahuyaunnermut tamanna inuileqquserimmammagu taanna unikkaangullerailinnut.
Hey, okay. I'll try and translate that. As a young child, Hayaktuak means pretending to kayak. As my nephew, me, was taught by an elder how to kayak without an actual kayak there, like the mimicking kayaker and hunting, and that he was taught to be a good hunter someday, which I'm not. No. I do a lot of hunting, but I don't say I'm very good at it. But it's the animal that gives you, or the earth gives you, what you want. But at an early age, between 4 and 6 years old, my parents would visit an elder. And that elder, as soon as I walk in, he'd grab me, put him on his lap, and then pretend to mimic kayaking, and then make me pretend to harpoon and hook the seal, or whether it be a whale that day. The next visit might be something else. And so I grew up with an elder. I call him Kayaktuak. Thank you.
Kaya namin. Thank you. Tana aulani nga aturik si malilaw tabut akganisak mana tema titiraw yang nuktaman na atuk taw hatak si mayutsaw nung ngatay tsumani utu hangit tutik teko hayaliw hatak si mamataim mini isumay ng migun taga teko hayay piyari at yudlari tuki si balialok tabuman na sibulok pami pinasuwaw siya ni makuni hayaliw paliari sila wakata November.
Hey, again, last year, part of the planning was drawing or sketching out the kayak. In the old days, nobody had a measuring tape or a saw or the proper tools, but this took planning, and that it started last year. And the first session was held for 2 weeks last year.
Tana aku niya unika haman amisunil sunak kutahak tu ni khajal lagi teko asibauti mana pibik tu taman hangi tu ang daglagu kisiani mamaya na ugolok kisiani tu kisigat tahanu khajay pibali siung mga taman nali mana ulok tuli tamaw na CBC ko hatak tu talo amma tu sa matichika swak tu tay may hatta lauk pu taman na pibali lugu yagaya hamata manawlok tu tay chumanili imini na isumamigo siya na tu nakatalaw tu bini.
Again, kayak, the whole kayak has different parts and different names, and I can talk here forever for explaining all this stuff. Today I won't do that, but by using the media, radio, TV, television or movies. There's a documentary being made right now as they go through the different stages, and that by doing that, they explain what they're doing and really re-educating the Inuit and non-Inuit as to how important the kayak is.
Ay, tagba piyagak palenya amatamatuming kisya ni mamiyat tunga pibikikata naminutaw ukaw si tsakat to sa makayaw mitsan to sa kuminaktamin kaya namin.
Thank you. I don't have much more to say about the kayak itself, about the project, but my nephew may have something, a little story. I have a story. Passed on from, we've talked about storytelling and stuff like that, actual stories. In the late 1800s, explorers came up. My father explained it like Ipurbi, elder, a hunter, which is really Ipilbik. He never knew how to spell their names, so a white man, when they're writing books and stuff, they guess or they guess how they're spelled and what their actual name is. So anyway, Ipilbik come across a bunch of sailors, explorers, in his kayak from his camp. There were 30 Americans. They had run into some ice, moving ice, and their ship sunk. So Ipilbik, these men managed to survive. They got on the ice. So I don't know how far it was, but at least a mile or two. The 30 U.S. Sailors, explorers, he saved them by using a kayak. One by one, he'd pick them up from the ice back to his camp, well, 30 times, I guess. And that there's no phone, there's no satellite phone back then. So Ipurbi ended up with these 30 Americans at his camp for the whole year. they were not picked up by other explorers who wondered, hey, the boys didn't come back. Where are they? Like, so they came back and looked for them. They found them at this camp and wanted to reward Iperbi. They brought Iperbi back with the 30 U.S. Sailors back to America. Must have been scary. Never been south or never been in a city before. And they asked him, like, they wanted to reward him and give him something, and they wanted to give him money. Well, money's no good up north. We got no stores, like, or nothing up there. He wanted to get 3 boats. So he got 3 boats and brought him back the following year. He was down there almost 2 years and brought back with 3 boats. He was a smart man. He used those boats for more hunting and or saving other U.S. sailors in the future. So that's my story. It's a true story. We often travel from Iqaluit to our hometown. And we're going through there one day. There were probably 4 boats, and my father's in the lead. This is where it happened. He was telling the story as we were boating and picturing this. Oh my God, like this guy was a hero. Today he would have maybe a few $1 million. Hey, thank you. Thank you for your time.
We have time for 1 or 2 questions. If you have some, I'll pass the mic around. Any questions? Okay, we're all done then. Thank you so much.
Can I just say something quickly? I just want to honor Minister Glenn Abernathy. You've really been role modeling other politicians. You've been here throughout the 3 days, and I wish we had ministers like that in Nunavut. And yeah, so thank you very much. I knew his parents. We knew his parents, and in fact, Nash's wife used to babysit Glenn Abernathy. So thank you very much. And I wanted to also leave you with, we were talking about commonalities of language and stuff. In the circumpolar world, our definition for landscape, for the mammals, for the animals are very similar. The base language is very similar in the circumpolar world. But there's one word in Inuktitut that is universal, and you say it too all the time. When you sneeze, you go, achoo! In my dialect, achoo means I don't know.